Anthony, how you doing today?
Hey, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for coming on this episode of the Youth Leaders and Wealth Management podcast. I'm super excited to have you on. Anthony's been a mentor here for a while now for me for the last few months, and I'm super happy to get him on here and get him to share his story and learn a little bit more about you too. So, super happy to have you here. And I just wanted to open up the conversation with, getting the people to know you a little bit better and understanding your journey to the position that you're at today. So what was your initial interest in pursuing a career in the wealth management industry?
Brian, thanks. I appreciate you having me. Super excited. Oh, it's been quite the journey. So if you rewind back 18 years ago, yeah, back in 2006, um, one of the pieces you're going to hear me talk quite a bit about is mentorship and having mentors. I had recently finished school and didn't necessarily know exactly what route I wanted to take. And during that time, life was getting pretty heavy and real. I found out I was going to be a father. So things really had to jumpstart my career. And I was very fortunate that one of my best friends, his dad, for all I knew, I thought he was a banker or something along those lines. He'd wear a lot of suit and ties and he'd talk about the markets and he'd talk about his clients. And he was always very near and dear to me. And I was sitting down with him one day and I was asking him, or he was asking me rather, what are you going to do with your life? Now that you're going to be a father, you've completed school, what's the next step? And I was asking him about what he did, and it turned out that he was a financial advisor. With at that time, it was American Express Financial Advisors. American Express, right around 2007, turned over into Ameriprise Financial, and I'm local here in the Twin Cities, which is where Ameriprise is headquartered. But as I was having this conversation with him, he walked me through a practice of what are your values? What are your most important pillars in your life? What are you looking to accomplish? And my values were, a lot of it was, as far as the business aspect, was centered around service. I really, really wanted to help people. I wanted to provide education. I wanted to provide consulting, guidance. And I was very intrigued by markets as well. I got a business degree. And he said, well, it sounds a lot like becoming a financial advisor. And I delved a little bit deeper and I was like, well, what do you do on a day-to-day basis? And he said, well, I work with clients. I really integrate myself inside of their family, determine what their values are, and then make sure that their financial portfolios are reflective of their values and how that all kind of integrates together and help clients grow and reach their goals. And he made a comment, and this has stuck with me for my entire career, is that in the financial realm, there's many different ways you can take this, but a financial advisor is a financial advisor. You're a life coach. You're a therapist. I mean, you go down the line. If you think about professionals in individuals' lives. I'm talking about your dentist, your doctor, whatever the case is. The financial advisor, in my eyes, and certainly partial to this, carries one of the largest, or is one of the largest relationships someone can have. I mean, they understand the clients. Financial advisors understand clients intimately, and I thought that was a super intriguing. So at that time, I didn't know which route to take necessarily. And I was very fortunate to garner a job at corporate Ameriprise where I was into what's called an insurance specialist role. So I joined Ameriprise, and it was, if you've ever seen the movie, what's it called, Boiler Room here, where basically there was kind of a rat race to get licensed. All right. You had 30 days to get fully licensed across the lines. Those that didn't, they were out. Those that did were in. Fortunately, I passed all the different licenses and I was thrust into the insurance specialist role, which Ameriprise trained me top down on anything and everything there is insurance. And let me preface by insurance. What I'm talking about is like disability insurance, life insurance, long-term care insurance, some estate planning as well. But it was a really deep understanding of the vehicles, the products, the nitty gritty underneath the hood. And throughout that time, when I was with the insurance service, I was there for a hot cup of coffee about 9 months because it was a lot of consulting with financial advisors across the countries and clients about what they had, how it's operating, and how it fits into their life. But unfortunately, and this is going to delve into a deeper conversation, there's many instances where insurance, whether it's life insurance, disability, long-term care, what have you, is positioned to a client incorrectly. All right. So I was getting phone calls and consulting with individuals that maybe had a life insurance policy that wasn't right for them, and life insurance policy was lapsing or whatever the case was. So I learned a very, very hard lesson that in the insurance realm of things, there is a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And I saw that firsthand, the success if it's positioned appropriately, as well as the negatives if it wasn't. So when I was there for 9 months, I really started to lean deeper into wanting to become a financial advisor, a full-fledged financial advisor. And then I was very fortunate to partner in a firm here in the Twin Cities, and they rose me through the ranks from being a paraplanner, a associate financial advisor, into a full-fledged financial advisor. So a long-winded answer to your question, but it was first things first, having a mentor. Number two is understanding your values. What do you truly want to do with yourself and with your life and with your career? And then kind of running the gauntlet a little bit, because there's different, and we'll certainly get deeper into this, but there's different avenues to explore in the financial realm. I started with insurance, and then I evolved into a financial advisor, and that was the early part of my career. So Ryan, I'll pause there. Hopefully that addresses your question on how I got started.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think you hit on a bunch of really important pieces right there. So one being mentorship, right? So what do you say to someone that maybe is in a similar situation to what you found yourself in, but doesn't have that same level of mentorship that you were able to get from your friend's dad? How do you go out and find somebody that would be willing to kind of help push you in the right direction?
Absolutely. So, well, there's a couple different avenues to take. Um, I'm a firm believer that greatness happens when you step outside of your comfort zone. So a lot of individuals, they feel very, very isolated. Maybe they don't have the friend's dad or the professional connections, etc. But I would lean on and really take an intricate look into who in your life has helped evolve, whether that's a professor, whether that's a relative, someone that's got a little bit more skin in the game, and stepping outside of your comfort zone and asking for help and guidance. Um, One of the questions I'm sure you're probably going to ask is around networking and different pieces like that. But again, finding different network chapters, whether it's through the college, whether it's through the industry, there's various different entities out there that involve mentoring. So what I'm getting at is I was very fortunate to have that in my life. And sometimes people don't have that, but I would greatly encourage that an individual, they do their research, right? And they take a necessary step and then ask for that guidance and help. And again, that is through different organizations. That's through potentially the college. That's through your general community, etc. Another big piece is I have several mentors in my life that are business focused, family focused, community focused, etc. And what I've learned is that they all kind of integrate together, right? So to answer your question, I believe it's stepping outside of your comfort zone and seeking that guidance.
Yeah, seeking guidance, right? And being out of that comfort zone is what's helped me get into rooms and conversation with people like yourself. And that has tremendously impacted me, because in the same way that it took a little bit out, a few steps out of my reach to get into someone that's actually had some more beneficial career advice and guidance on that end, right? So like my parents are my mom was a teacher, my dad was a police officer, so it's just different levels of advice that you could be given. And then for people that are not necessarily entwined with the financial advisory business or any financial business, to be frank, you must step outside your comfort zone, right?
So, yep.
Yeah.
Did not know your dad was a police officer. Mine was as well.
Yeah, New York City police officer.
Oh
Where was
boy.
your Where was your dad up
There's
until?
levels to this. There's levels to this.
Yeah, it's a tough profession, and I can't commend him enough for doing it. And I can't commend any, all the police officers for going out there and risking their lives and protecting us. They're such a vital part of our community, right? And tying that right back into like the financial advisory business, like how do you feel about like firms that specifically help a certain client niche? Like there's some here based on Long Island where I live that are like specifically helping police officers or specifically helping executives in the tech industry or something like that. Do you feel that those type of services are more beneficial compared to like a company that specializes in a wider range of clientele?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's a lot of where I've shaped my career as a insurance specialist, as being a master of one, if you will. So to kind of dial that back, if you think about just the general phrase of being a financial advisors know a little bit about a lot of different items, right? They kind of encompass everything. Now, when you have a specialized role, someone that works specifically with doctors or police officers or whatever the case is, they're so in tune, they're so highly specialized to that niche. And I do believe that that's extremely important. And again, that's kind of where I shaped my career, that I want to be a master of one. And we'll talk more about my specifics in a moment here. But there has been a significant change in the industry from just well, like a better words, a standard financial advisor that touches a little bit. More and more clients, and I'd say the high net worth clients that we work with, they really appreciate the specialized, where they understand the benefits, they understand the constraints of the job. Right? You think about a police officer, that's a high stress job. Think about a doctor, that just different areas like that. So the industry is evolving, and I would highly recommend that for young individuals getting into this industry, is if there is an internal want to help one specific demographic, that is extremely important. I would say just nail that, absolutely hammer it, learn everything there is top down about what that profession is. Again, the various portions of the benefits, the job constraints, this, that, and the other, and you are going to shine, because this is a competitive business. Police officer interviews with a financial advisor, standard financial advisor, versus someone that works specifically with police. I'd say 8 times out of 10, they're going to go with the specialized individual.
Certainly. Yeah, it seems like they would have a better grasp on the situation that they're dealing with, right? So making it a better match that could be possible for sure. So I appreciate the insight on that. Yeah, and I wanted to get into kind of like some of the skills that you've developed over the course of your career. And what skills do you feel like have benefited you the most when it comes to moving up through towards your goals and creating yourself the opportunities that you want?
Yeah, that's another fantastic question. Several items to that. Education is crucial. Continuing education, right? And that can lead to many different things. So I'm an avid reader on industry changes, product developments, tax changes, etc. You have to be Johnny on the ball with that. If you're not going forward and staying stagnant, technically you're going backwards. All right. I've seen far too many times where people are complacent and they reach certain designations or levels. It's an ever evolving industry. Period, point blank. So you have to stay on the ball with that. So continual education is gigantic. I would say number 2, dovetailing back to the original point of mentorship, having mentors, all right, across different lines. And that's just going to help grade you up. They have paved the path. They understand the obstacles, and they can help guide you through that, so you can get to a point quicker, less hassle. I would say number 3 is understanding yourself and being confident. When I was early in my career, I didn't believe I had the skill set to reach certain levels. I'd look at other financial advisors or industry professionals, and I was blown away at their level of intellect, how they're able to communicate with clients. And I was like, how the heck am I going to get there? So that again dovetails back to the stepping outside of your comfort zone. I would put myself in situations that I didn't feel comfortable with, but I would execute, and I would learn significant amounts from that. And then I would take that back in house into myself, and I'd be rigorous in where were the shortcomings, where I was strong, and shoring up those shortcomings and working very, very hard. And that's whether that's with other partners in the firm, whether that's with family members as well, right? Just leveling yourself up so that you can build confidence. And again, the stepping outside of your comfort zone, that is where confidence lies. And I think a big piece when you are working with clients or other industry professionals, you have to gain that confidence, right? I mean, that's something that you work towards, but you got to start somewhere. And that's really doing the hard work and putting yourself in positions to win.
Starting somewhere and doing the hard work is the first step, right? Moving towards your goal and actually taking the steps and strides forward, and not just kind of coming up with plans. Like, I consider myself a planner, right? So if I just came up with these
Mm-hmm.
great plans on how to get forward and I never got into any action on it, I mean, you're going to be stagnant, right? And going back to what you said before, if you're stagnant, you're not growing, you're dying in that sense. So continuing to be educated, finding people to educate you, and pushing yourself out of the comfort zone sounds like it's the key.
100%. Absolutely.
And going back into like the insurance side of things and the actual financial advisory side, like what kind of certifications can someone coming out of college expect to need to get if they wanted to pursue a similar career path?
Yeah. So there's several. Um, Depending on where you want to take your career in the financial services landscape, CFP is the ultimate designation, Certified Financial Planner. All right, so that's a big one. That encompasses a lot of different items. And I will say for clients that are interviewing or looking for financial advisors, if you have a CFP versus one that doesn't, CFP is going to win that outright, as they should. Specifically on the insurance side, there's multiple different designations. There's the CLTC, where you're certified in long-term care. I think that's a gigantic one. In addition to that, there's the CLU, the Chartered Life Underwriter. That's a significant one as well. That touches every point of the insurance gamut. Another one that's becoming very large in the industry, and most financial advisors' largest clients are going to be business owners. All right, and I'll speak to that specifically. That I would say this is true. Most financial advisors, their weakest point or where they feel uncomfortable is speaking intelligently to business owners. Lots of reasons behind that. But there's a designation that I recently garnered called the CEPA, CEPA, Certified Exit Planning Advisor. That has raised my career to significant heights. And on the insurance side, there's a lot of different insurances that you speak with business owners on, whether it's buy-sell agreements, split dollars. There's a lot of estate planning techniques as well. So CEPA is very big. And then I'm actually sitting for my BFA, which is Behavioral Financial Advisor. I'm sitting for that actually next week as well. Because again, the financial world, I think, and you can certainly do this just from a number standpoint with the markets and standard deviation and rates, just different pieces like that. To really succeed in this is getting inside of the client situation, like getting inside of their heart and their values and understanding how they perceive money. How does that feel? Does it make them nervous? Are they aggressive? On and on. So to have the behavioral financial advice, I have been studying this. I'm ready to execute on this as well, and I believe it's going to absolutely leverage me up in the industry as well. So in short, CFP, CLTC, the CEPA, the BFA, and the CLU.
Perfect. Yeah. And those are all great certifications. And I think I split those kind of into two ways, right? So the educational side on like the financial pieces, different, like you said,
Mhm.
the buy exit strategies, the split dollar, CFP, where you learn about so many things. And then you got to the other side on the BFA and understanding about the emotions behind what your clients are thinking. And I think it comes down to like what we've been taught since we were children. It's about putting yourself in someone else's shoes and having empathy, right? And I think that the BFA seems to me, yeah, I don't have the BFA and I haven't studied for it or anything, but it seems to me that that'd be a great way to learn how to put yourself really in someone else's shoes and learn how to understand the emotions behind financial decisions. And I think that that's one thing that we tend to forget in a world of data and numbers and information, that the one thing that we cannot categorize or measure is emotions of human beings. And that's what sends markets in different directions and makes spurs decisions that no financial advisor would advise making. But sometimes people make those decisions because of the emotions that are driving behind it. What something to do with their children or their wives, and a terrible financial decision on paper makes all the sense emotionally, right? So I think that the BFA is something that's on my list to get for sure. And I
Absolutely.
think that understanding any communication and emotional pieces to everything is really going to help you in all aspects of life, not only your career.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. If there's Any one thing that I can say to a younger individual looking to get into this profession is that it's the people aspect, it's the human aspect, it's the emotional aspect. People make decisions, financial decisions, based off of emotions. And if you are able to understand and help guide people, like understand what their values and what their emotions are, and help take their hand and lead them to a positive action that's going to improve their situation, not just from a financial standpoint, but from a family and community standpoint, that's where you change lives. That's where you move mountains. And that's what really gets me going in this business.
Yeah, it's super exciting, and that's a big reason why I chose to come into this industry. Originally, I was on the path to be a PA or a doctor because I wanted to help people, because that was my first trait that I really did want to emphasize with others and be able to push them in the right direction. And then I felt like the combination that I had, the interest of finances that I had personally, combined with the ability to use my communication skills and listening and all the emotional things that you can develop, can help people financially succeed so much more than I could help in a doctor's office, just because I felt like I couldn't compete in the level that I couldn't read the textbooks as fast. I couldn't do the labs as good in that sense. Because I'm not a very fast reader or anything like that. So I felt like that it was going to be a much harder path for me to help people going down that road, when I already knew a lot about the financial advisory business and just like personal financial decisions. So like combining the best of both worlds, like the wanting to help people, the financial side, and the communication psychology part, like made this scene for me be exactly what I wanted to pursue. And it sounds like that's a similar idea that you have in your head as well.
100%. So one of my mentors, who's a very, very successful financial advisor, if he's at a cocktail party or what have you, and someone comes up and says, "What do you do for work?" He says, "I'm in the business of life." He said, and I've said that as well. He's perfected it. I'm not going to quite steal it from him, right? But when you say that to somebody, let me put it like this: if you say, "I'm a financial advisor," they as in the other individual naturally has this thought process of what it is that you do. But when you really break it down from a financial advisor, however you want to phrase it, I'm in the business of life. You get the lean in from the individual. What do you mean by that? And then you articulated it perfectly, Ryan, where it's, well, I help clients guide them through financial decisions. I help work within families. I help work within community. It's just a different way of compartmentalizing it. But if I could just do a broad stroke over what you can accomplish in your career in the financial services, you're in the business of life. It's not just about the numbers. It's about getting inside and understanding the wants, needs, and values of our clients. And that is awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. And
I'm even going to go a soapbox and say there's not another profession out there that can hit it that hard. Humor me, I'll arm wrestle you. I don't know. I haven't
I
seen it. It's
I
pretty
don't think
cool.
so either. And that what that says about life, it reminds me of the idea that, like, if you were to just say, like, I'm a financial advisor, I'm a construction worker, I'm a doctor, whatever the career that you are, instantly people have like the grooves in their brain that follow a path on what you think,
Hmm?
what they think that you do automatically based on the career that you identify with, right? But a piece like that says I'm in the business of life is reminds me of like a snowy mountain that has ski slopes going down and the tracks from skiers, and then that thing just completely wipes the snow clean, and there's no longer any tracks on what you do, on what there is no path forward. So you can kind of rewrite the direction that you want someone's mind to go when it comes to thinking about a career path. And I think that's what that captures perfectly.
Yeah, I think it helps offer you the ability to, I don't want to, control is a strong word, but to control the narrative, right? And
Yeah.
again, that's a separate piece of in the financial realm here, but we, help control the narrative and lead clients to what it is they're looking to accomplish.
Yeah, it's about leading them to success, right? And helping them towards a better future. And I think that that's the most exciting part about for me about going into this industry once I get out of
Oh,
college, which is it's super
hey,
cool. So
so
I wanted to ask you about challenges that you've occurred throughout your career. So can
mhm.
you tell us about a major challenge that you've had throughout your career that you've overcome?
It's a great question. So when I was leading up, I purposely talked about the early part of my career where I dipped my toe into financial services, specialized in insurance. My first role was an insurance specialist. And I was like, I want to be a financial advisor. I want to be a financial advisor. And this is, 18, 17 years ago now. And the financial services industry was, well, you're a financial advisor. You're kind of the jack of all trades. Multiple different firms, and they were recruiting young individuals, and let's go get clients and let's be a financial advisor. Let's know a little bit about a lot of different items, jack of all trades. And I did that to great success. I was building my career. I was building my book. I was involved in a firm that was actually dissolving. This is back in 2011. All right. That's a side story, but the firm was ultimately dissolving. Okay. And I was at a major pivot point because I feel like I hit a glass ceiling that I just wasn't really leading with my true values, my core values. All right. So I actually left the industry for about a year and a half. I did business consulting work on the side, and I was trying to find my way. I was trying to build my journey. And throughout that time, in working with mentors and my family, I was really able to dial it down and say, this is what I want to do. And by that saying, it is I am very, very passionate about the insurance route. And I want to pause there because, like we said earlier with the business of life conversation, is when individuals hear the word insurance, what's the first thing that they do? Put their dukes up. I don't want to talk insurance. It's like a four-letter word, right? They don't want to talk about that. And I get it. So during that time, there started to be a major evolution in the industry. And there was an incorporation or indoctrination of specialized roles, very specialized roles. And I really grasped that. And I created this new universe, if you will, of what we'll call risk mitigation and wealth transfer. Now, what do I mean by that? So, risk mitigation and wealth transfer is where I specialize, and this is what I tell clients and advisors: is that I work with clients, very highly specialized, in four different factions. I work with estate planning, charitable giving, protection planning, as well as estate planning. So let me say that again. It's estate planning, tax planning, charitable giving, and protection planning. Four different entities to that. How many times did I say the word insurance? Not once. Not once.
Not
Now,
once.
insurance is a tool on our tool belt in the financial services that can fit into different client situations. But I'm hyper focused on those different portions: tax planning, estate planning, charitable giving, as well as protection planning. So I re-entered the industry under the umbrella of Ameriprise in their insurance department. And that's where I was able to, I'll address that more in just a moment here, but where I was able to further my career to the point where I'm at now, and many individuals have followed suit. So now in the industry, there's financial advisory practices, but more and more of them are having highly specialized individuals on their team to educate clients and advisors on those different subject matters. So to address your question point blank, one of the largest challenges I had was I had thought for many, many years I was going to be a financial advisor. I was going to be a financial advisor. And I was succeeding in that. But in my heart of hearts, I didn't feel like this was my calling, to the point that I left the industry and had to do a heck of a lot of soul searching and then re-enter it and say, well, let's reframe this. Let's really dial this in to what speaks to me, what I'm passionate about, and let's go build this. And that was a major undertaking. Again, I was out for about a year and a half, and it was, I'd say, the most trying, challenging portion of my life is who am I? How do I build this? Where do we go from here? Because it didn't necessarily exist at that point. I'll get deeper into exactly what I do in my role, but that was definitely the largest challenge in my life.
Thank you for sharing that. And that does sound like an incredibly hard path to navigate, right? Straying away from your values and then taking some time off and having to completely reevaluate everything that you're doing is no small task. We spend a lot of time developing ourselves, going through school, and our experiences make us who we are, right? And then to walk away from that, I commend you for being able to do that. So thank you for sharing it, and I definitely can glean some advice from that and being able to persevere through the challenges that I see coming into my life, right? But at the end of the day, you'll never know the challenges that are going to come up until they come, right? So hopefully you'll still be in my corner when they do come. But I appreciate you
Yeah,
sharing.
not going anywhere. And I just think that, I mean, that's a great question. And if you notice, I paused because I really had to think about that here. I mean, there's always going to be challenges. There has to be. Otherwise, you're not growing. I embrace challenges, the small ones, the big ones. It's how you persevere through that. Grit, grind. That's how there's a stoic phrase that the obstacle is the way. All right. Well, I mean, whatever is challenges in front of you, you work that challenge and you get to the other side of it. And that's how you build confidence. That's how you grow, is through challenges. So don't shy away from it. Attack it full bore. And specifically with me, I mean, just to dovetail into the value pieces, like I was a financial advisor. I was a financial advisor, specialized in insurance, and I was also a financial planning specialist. So I wore a lot of hats, had a lot of great success. But specifically under the umbrella, if you will, of being a financial advisor, I was working with clients on markets and benefit. I mean, just doing a little bit of everything. And if you just take a look, if there's 100 different pieces that a financial advisor does, 50% of them I wasn't passionate about. And that's a disservice to me. That's a disservice to the client. But also, it was very humbling to say, and to look at this and assess myself and say, well, why? Like, what is it about this that I don't appreciate, that it's just not fitting into where I want to take this? And then use that energy that I was putting into the other 50 items and say, I'm going to master these. But then again, at that particular point, X amount of years ago, this specialist world that we're living in now, it didn't necessarily exist. And now you fast forward to 2024 here, it is all the craze. And that's what I really want to articulate to anyone listening to this. It's find your niche and nail it. And if it doesn't exist, create it, because there is an appetite for this. It's an ever evolving industry that we're in. It's super exciting. And if you build it, there will be success. So don't shy away. Don't fall into the what's the word I'm looking for? Don't be regular.
Don't fall
Don't
into
be
the groove
generic.
of
The
everyone
groove,
else.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that you bring up a great point about niches and being generic. That's not a way to succeed in this world today, right? And that's part of what youth leaders and wealth management has done for me and our team, is just being unique in a world of educational resources that are a little bit more harder to come by, and being something that's more accessible to everybody is what makes us unique, right? So um, I'm super happy to have people like you that are supportive of the idea and understand that getting out of the comfort zone, being unique in your own ways is so important. And by you coming on here is really just a huge support for us as an organization to continue to strive forward. So thank you for that, and thank you for sharing about all the challenges.
No, I appreciate it. This is Ryan, you're something special. I appreciate what you and everyone are doing over there. And I can't tell you how grateful I am to have be brought in on this conversation too. Thank you.
All the thanks is from me, man. No worries. But I do want to get into a little bit more specifics about your role,
Yeah.
and if you
Yeah.
could describe us some of like the
Please.
primary responsibilities and some of the other
Mm-hmm.
challenges that come up on a day to day, week to week basis.
Yeah. So kind of leading up to this here, I talked about the 100 different buckets and the financial advisory role and values and passion, etc. And I'm going to be very partial to, I'm going to step on a soapbox kind of. I believe that the protection planning portion of a financial plan is the most important part of the plan. What do I mean by that? So in my role, titled Risk Mitigation and Wealth Transfer Specialist, that's a very busy title, but people kind of like that life coach, they lean in and they say, well, what exactly do you do? So again, charity, estate planning, tax planning, protection planning. All right. So what I specialize in, I think to keep this as succinct as possible, is if you think about anyone in this world, everyone is in various stages of what I call a life cycle. Right? I mean, you're born, you work, you retire, you die. Life's beautiful like that, right? So what I do in my specific role and why I'm so passionate about this, if you ask any business owner or any financial advisor, if you're building a financial plan or if you're building a business, the first thing you must do is protect that. Because you can build and build and build, but if something happens, it's going to go by the wayside, all your hard work. So we have to protect as we grow. So in my role, I'm a subject matter expert with those different items. So I always like to kind of framework this as like the Mayo Clinic, if you will, where a financial advisor is your general doctor. And then I could be a heart surgeon to come in on specific conversations. So I'm brought in. Ryan is the financial advisor. We have clients. Ryan introduces me. This is Anthony Johnson, our risk mitigation wealth transfer specialist. He's going to educate, it's a key word, educate on various different topics. So if you think about this, just let's compartmentalize life into two different items. Just think about like an arch, if you will. So down here, we're all born someday. In the first phase of life, which you're in, I'm in, and I venture to bet the majority of individuals listening to this, the first phase of life is protection and accumulation. Everything we're doing is building assets, growing, all while protecting. So there's three major items that individuals need to be cognizant of when they're in that first phase of life. So basically, after school until retirement. And those three different items are things like income protection. Step on my soapbox again. Our clients that are in their working years, their largest financial asset is their ability to earn an income. Period. All right, that's the fuel source. There's a cheeky analogy that we use in the industry sometimes. It's like, hey, downstairs in your basement, you go downstairs and there's a machine, and every 2 weeks you pull the lever and out pops a paycheck. Are you going to insure that thing? Dang right you are. Right? So helping articulate and understand clients as far as income protection. You protect your house, you protect your car, you got your phone insurance, all these different things. Why are we not protecting your income?
Yeah.
Makes sense, right? But again, there's a whole rabbit hole we can go down, but protecting income. The number two on this arch is what's called human life value. Ryan, you have a human life value. I have a human life value. If I drop dead today, what does my family need to make sure that they got clothes on their back, food on the plate, etc.? And that's where we discuss different items like life insurance. There's many different types of life insurance. And then number three on this, as far as the risks are concerned, so we got income protection, we have life insurance. Number three is going to be tax diversification. This is gigantic. All right. We talk through what type of assets do you have? How are they held from a tax nature? Where are tax rates going, Ryan?
Probably up.
Probably up. Probably up. So I beg the question, and I ask clients this all the time, and I get the same answer. Mr. and Mrs. Client, how much taxes do you want to pay? The answer is zero. Mr. and Mrs. Client, how much taxes do you want to pay in retirement? It's zero. So we have to make decisions now that will directly impact how they recreate their retirement paycheck. So tax diversification is big. And just FYI, under the insurance umbrella, there's various types of insurances where you can contribute to different policies, and there's a cash value component that grows tax-free. So it can be used as a tax shelter tool. Yep. It's the protection and accumulation side. On the other side of the fence, which I call distribution and legacy. So once clients reach that pinnacle of retirement up at the top of this arch, you're looking over the next side of life, that's where you're spending your hard-earned assets. So there's three different items that we touch on. Number one, the only one that carries over is tax diversification. I'd say the vast majority of our clients that are over the age of 60, the majority of their assets are in their 401ks or IRAs. What happens when you take money out of that? There's taxes. Where are tax rates going? Higher. What do we do about that? Provide education on different strategies and tools and repositioning of assets to lower taxes in their lifetime. Next item here. Let me make another comment here. For our clients that are retired, I don't care what their age is, they're 60 years old, 70, whatever the case is, their largest financial risk, bigger than inflation, bigger than market volatility, bigger than taxes, healthcare costs, long-term care. It is gigantic. So help walk through clients, what is their long-term care plan? And then finally, like it or not, we have a 100% chance of passing away. That's where we introduce different items like estate planning. What type of wills do they have? What kind of trust? How do they want to leave a legacy? Generational planning. That is very near and dear to my heart. As clients work hard for their assets, and how do they want to be remembered? And how do they want those assets to pass from an efficiency standpoint? So it's a very long-winded answer to your question, but that is what I specialize in, is having those different conversations. So it's kind of under that umbrella. Every single one of those dovetails or weeds into many, many different items. But that's what I'm passionate about, because in my heart of hearts, I believe that protection planning is the most important part of a financial plan. That is where you have to understand the client's values. What are their hot buttons? Is it taxes? Is it health? Is it family planning, etc.? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot, but I think what it seems like from that is that protection is so important, and that's something that I've really learned from you over the last few months about the different ways that we need to be protected as we go through the different phases of life, and which ways that like you going back to the beginning when you said that there's a right and wrong way of doing it. So what is that right way of doing it? There's so many different avenues you can take that down, and that's why your job is so important in terms of helping individuals and families and business owners to be able to properly ensure or properly protect the things that they care about the most, and the ways that they're protecting their their income and their assets and all that stuff. So I mean, what you guys are doing is so crucial, and I really appreciate you sharing with us a little bit more about your primary responsibility.
I do want to take that a quick step further, because I've been talking about when I, 14 years ago, when I started to delve into this specialist type of role, and you had asked the question around financial advisors that specialize in different pieces. One of the items that I can speak specific to Ameriprise. Ameriprise is the largest financial planning organization in the world, more financial advisors than anybody. That's all fine and dandy. There has been an extreme evolution across the industry where you have a financial advisor, but on their team, they have a specialist. And from an aesthetic standpoint, from a client standpoint, you're a client, you know and love your financial advisor, but to understand the breadth and depth of the team that they have behind them, that they can bring in individuals that are specialized in, whether it's investment planning, whether it's financial planning, whether it's risk mitigation and wealth transfer. So to the audience here, again, back to my point about, you want to be a financial advisor, fantastic. But there are other avenues where you can really dig deep and become that master of one. And the industry is moving in that faction. Again, if you have a client that is looking for financial guidance, financial services, and they meet with a lone wolf financial advisor versus someone that has the resources and the specialists on their team that they can bring in, that's almost 10 out of 10 that the client is going to choose the firm with the specialists. And I've decided, and I love it, is to be that specialist.
Yeah, I mean, specializing is so important, right? And it brings you the question, like, how do you decide where you want to specialize in? And it seems to me that you just have to kind of experiment and have conversations like this, and learning about the different aspects of the financial planning business, financial advising, protection. There's so many different ways that you can take it down, and different certifications based on those. And there's rabbit holes in different directions, and to be able to go a mile deep and on one thing, and an inch deep on some other things, and still be able to provide solid advice. And I like what you said about a lone wolf. Like, it's much harder to be able to provide the level of detail and information that like a larger organization can, because of the ability to have specialists in different realms.
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
Anthony, I want to just ask one final question before we run out of time here. I know you got to jump at one. So I want to ask, what advice would you give to someone that's just starting out in this industry? To kind of tie it in the bow, there's so many little pieces that you put in this conversation that are so impactful and have been impactful to me. But if you were to put like a nice bow on it, what direction would you point someone that's either just coming out of college, maybe starting in college, looking to pursue what direction would you go with the hindsight that you have now?
I would say number one, don't sell yourself short. Do not sell yourself short. All right, it's intimidating when you jump into this ocean. There's so many different. I've been extremely fortunate at this particular moment to mentor 12 different individuals across the country, young college students, yourself, that are making the leap into financial services. And it's a big ocean. And you're like, I don't know, investment banking, tax, et cetera, et cetera. Think big. I'm very, very big on vision planning, goal setting, etc. Not to get too long-winded on this, but be extremely intentional on where you want to be in 3 years. There's science behind why 3 years, right? But start painting the picture of where you want to be in 3 years. Just be crazy. There's an acronym called BHAG, Big, Hairy, Audacious Goals. And I'd actually recommend to the audience to pick up a book called Vivid Vision. It's changed my life. Vivid Vision. Long story short is you cascade your life, and you really touch it, smell it, hear it, etc. Right? Create that vision on where you want to be in 3 years. And then you start taking action steps. Now, don't sell yourself short, cast a vision, but then step outside of your comfort zone. Things are not going to come to you. You got to go get them. And the way to do that is to, whether you have a mentor close to you, seek mentorship. There are individuals out there that want to do this. All right. I mean, don't make any excuses. There's nobody out. No, there's somebody out there that would love to partner with you, help coach you, and grow. So to answer your question, do not sell yourself short, cast a vision, and find a mentor.
Yeah, I mean, those three are things that I've focused on from your advice, and I'm super thankful for you giving me those tools and pointing me in those directions. And not selling myself short is a huge one, and getting out of your comfort zone and knowing that nothing's going to come to you unless you earn it and you go out and get it. It's powerful, right? And it comes back to the my opinion about empowerment. It's like you can't be victim to any situation that you have in your life. It's like, speaking for me personally, not having any connections in the financial industry, I could have put my hands up in the air and said, well, I can never make it in this industry. I don't know anybody. It's all about connections. And it's, I'll just get beat out by somebody who knows someone. And, I just took it on the chin and I said, yeah, I don't know anybody, but I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to earn the right to be here, and I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to make what I want happen. Right. And having that mindset going forward is going to be so beneficial for anybody that wants to get in this industry, or really anything that they want to accomplish.
Brian, you're a perfect example of this. Here we are now, and with the progress and the individuals that we've been blessed, we've been fortunate to introduce you to, and what you're growing, you are a prime example of this. Stepping outside of your comfort zone, right? Reaching out, asking for help, asking for guidance, and you're killing it, man.
Thank you.
Proud
I
of you.
appreciate it. It's a lot of hard work, and I really could not have done many of the things that I've done without people like you, and especially you yourself, Anthony. So I do appreciate it.
Take that
And
to heart, man. Do.
Thank you for coming on, and we had a really great conversation. This is now officially the longest episode of the podcast so far, which is awesome.
Oops.
The longer the better. The longer the better. Seriously. So super happy. There's so much value and wisdom in this conversation, and I'm so excited to get this out here. And thank you so much for coming on. And if there's anything you want to put, like your plug, I could put your LinkedIn in the description and everything. So
I would
I
just say
appreciate.
to the audience, just hit me up on LinkedIn with anything you want or need. I'm very, very passionate about helping the younger generation and getting you plugged into what it is you want to accomplish in life. We're all in this together. It takes a village. And at the end of the day, what it's all about is servicing clients.
Yep,
So I'm here.
100%. Well, Anthony, thank you so much for coming on, and I hope to have you on here again soon.
Appreciate you. Thank you.